hour now, I'm Pamela Brown in Washington and for Poppy Harlow, and you're live in the CNN newsroom on this Sunday. And new tonight, Donald Trump now claiming millions of people voted illegally in the election that he just won. The claim is part of a series of tweets the president-elect has fired off today over the effort to recount votes in some states. Trump writing, quote, "In addition to winning the Electoral College in a landslide, I won the popular vote if you deduct the millions of people who voted illegally. It would have been much easier for me to win the so-called popular vote in the Electoral College, and that I would only campaign in 3 or 4 states instead of the 15 states that I visited. I would have won even more easily and convincingly, but smaller states are forgotten." These tweets were sent shortly before Trump boarded his plane to fly back to his transition headquarters in New York. And to be clear, there is no evidence to support the president-elect's claim. Let's bring in the panel to talk about all of this. Joining me once again, Ben Ferguson, CNN political commentator and host of the Ben Ferguson Show, as well as Mark Lamont Hill, CNN political commentator and host of BET News. He is also a professor at Morehouse College. I can see both of you are ready to go and share your opinions. Mark, I'm going to let you go first. You support Jill Stein. You supported her. She is, of course, leading this effort to recount votes in 3 states. By claiming millions of people voted illegally, did Donald Trump just help make her case for a recount?
Of course. Donald Trump essentially said this was not a free and fair election. He said people did not play by the rules, that illegal votes were cast. But he said, you know what? We don't have to count them because if they were all voting for my opponent. So it actually worked against, it didn't hurt me. It doesn't make a lot of sense. You can't say that the votes were illegal and then say that the election was free and fair. If the votes were illegal, let's count. Let's sift out the bad ones and find out who the real victor is here. And if it's Donald Trump, it's Donald Trump.
Okay, so Ben, on that note, how does Trump's team possibly argue against this recount when Trump is claiming not hundreds, not thousands, but millions of people voted illegally in the election?
Yeah, he should probably go into his Twitter account and hit the delete tweet button, and that would probably help things a lot right now. I don't think he's going to do that. Obviously, Donald Trump was fighting back. He shouldn't have used those words. There is nothing to describe or to insinuate that there was 1 million+ people that voted illegally in this election. For me, I'm ready to move on to the other things. What's going to happen on January the 20th? And I don't know why he would tweet this out, to be honest with you. But again, I go back to the main thing here. Mark understands it and agrees with me on this. There is nothing that's going to come out of this. It's meaningless. It is just a waste of time. It is a waste of resources. It is a waste of money. I think the Green Party, part of the reason why they did this is to get some relevancy after they had a really bad election and maybe bring more people into their party. And it's just, you know, you could even say they borrowed a line from Donald Trump. They pulled a publicity stunt and it worked.
Mark, you're shaking your head.
One, the elections didn't go poorly for the Green Party. They went poorly for the Democratic Party.
Well, Mark.
Well, Ben, we didn't go in. We weren't exactly sizing up drapes or booking Frankie Beverly for the inauguration. We knew we weren't going to win going into the election day. It was bad for Democrats, not bad for the Green Party. But the bigger question here is not whether or not we ultimately have a different president, although we could. I think the odds are against it. But the question is, did every vote count?
No. Let's not go there, Mark. Let's not go there, okay?
Hold on, Ben. But let me ask you this. With no evidence of hacking whatsoever, does this set a dangerous precedent? You know, after every election, should there be a recount like this now with this movement?
The problem with the question is that it presumes that this is the first time. It's not a precedent. Elections have been recounted many times, and this isn't the first time that a state has asked for a recount, whether it's a Senate election, whether it's a gubernatorial election, or whether it's a presidential election. And again, let's say that it turns out that of the 3 states that are being contested, one of them turns, and Donald Trump is still president. If you're in Wisconsin, don't you want to know you didn't vote for Donald Trump? If I'm in Wisconsin, and I darn sure want to know that my state didn't vote for Donald Trump. That matters for future elections. It matters for funding. It matters for campaigning. And it also matters because I don't want to live in a state that voted for Donald Trump. You know what I mean?
Are you going to move every time? Are you going to move every time you don't get your way, Mark? That would be exhausting if that's how you decide where you're going to live based on where the election went last time. Second of all, I lived in America proudly for 8 years, and my guy didn't win. Barack Obama was president, so let's not go to that extreme of if I don't get my way, I'm going to move somewhere. But here's what I'll say. You guys keep going and fighting over recounts. Keep giving lawyers, the Democratic lawyers, a ton of money, millions of dollars for all this legal stuff while they get rich. And as you would say, the poor get poor when they send in their checks to fight this. And we're going to get ready to run the United States of America, the government, and that's what Donald Trump's going to be focused on.
All right, I want to move on to something else because there is a lot to discuss. That, of course, is one issue being discussed. The other one is the infighting over the possibility of Mitt Romney for Secretary of State. What do you think, Ben? Do you think that Donald Trump is seriously considering Mitt Romney, or could this be him simply wanting to make an adversary sort of grovel before saying no? What's your take on this?
Look, I'll be honest with you. I think only Donald Trump can answer that question. I do think, based on what Donald Trump has done so far, his intentions with everybody he has met with have been very authentic. Putting Nikki Haley in a position after she was very critical of him, and I think is a perfect example of that, of the proof. And I think what Donald Trump has pretty much said is, look, if you are qualified, I want to interview you. If you are somebody that is a top person, even if you are critical of me, I'm going to work with you. The same reason why he put Rance Priebus as chief of staff, the same reason why he worked with Paul Ryan and made sure that he was going to still be the speaker even after they didn't even campaign together. He let it go and moved on. So I do think there is one issue here. The Republicans that support him early on, the people that sat in line for 5 hours to go to his rally or 6 hours, they said drain the swamp. And Mitt Romney is not draining the swamp. And they do not feel that he is a hardcore conservative. He is part of the establishment. He is a rhino, Republican in name only, and they don't want him anywhere close to a Trump White House for that specific reason. And I think they have a very legitimate argument that they're making over it.
Do you agree, Mark?
Well, I think Mitt Romney certainly is not a dyed-in-the-wool right-wing extremist Republican, but I think he's a Republican. And there's some irony in Donald Trump suggesting that someone's not Republican enough when Donald Trump is all over the ideological map. And I think it would be you'd be hard pressed to say that he is a legitimate Republican if we're basing on a very narrow set of standards. But I think there's a bigger question here. Mitt Romney didn't just not fall in line with Donald Trump. He wasn't just critical of Donald Trump. He said he was a fraud. He said he was a sham. He said that he wasn't a legitimate candidate, that he was below the dignity of the office of president, and that he would be a disaster on the international stage. So then for Mitt Romney to step in and decide that he'd want to be Secretary of State, to me is sort of a bizarre choice if he believed that Donald Trump would actually be him.
And let me just ask you this, Ben. I really want to get your reaction before we have to wrap up this segment to Kellyanne Conway sort of coming out and speaking out against Mitt Romney as a potential Secretary of State. What do you make of that? Anna Navarro, who is not a fan of Donald Trump, suggested that perhaps Trump might be orchestrating this. What is your take?
Look, Anna Navarro, I'm pretty sure she said she voted for Hillary Clinton, so I'll say what she's saying about Donald Trump with a massive grain of salt, with all due respect, Anna. What I will say is I think what you're seeing here from Kellyanne Conway is she has a very close ear to the people and the constituents and those that came out for Donald Trump, and she does not want to let them down, and she understands that if you do put Mitt Romney in there, it may not outweigh the negative, which is that people feel like that you took advantage of them and you didn't do what you said you were going to do, which is drain the swamp. Let's also remember this about Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney's biggest speech that he's given in the last 4 years was a 40-minute diatribe of why Donald Trump sucks. Why would you give that guy this job? The second biggest speech he's given the last 4 years was his concession speech to Barack Obama. So this is somebody that I just don't really think you need in this administration. In my opinion, I think there's other people as qualified as him, and I hope Donald Trump will look around a little bit.
All right. Well, we know he has lots of meetings tomorrow, a lot of anticipation for more announcements to come in his cabinet in Ferguson. Mark Lamont Hill, certainly will be a busy week for all of us. Thank you so much.
November 24th, stepped up security, bomb-sniffing dogs, snipers, and thousands of police officers lining the streets as millions flock to New York City. We are live at the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade as it kicks off. Thanksgiving triple threat, snow, rain, and ice. 2 storms crisscrossing the country as millions head home for the holidays. What you need to know before you leave the house. And a Thanksgiving message from our president-elect.
It's my prayer that on this Thanksgiving, we begin to heal our divisions and move forward as one country, strengthened by shared purpose and very, very common resolve.
This as his cabinet comes together, and Dr. Ben Carson considers the offer on the table. Fox and Friends First starts right now.
Kristen Fisher.
And I'm Heather Childers. Nice to have you with us.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
And everyone at home as well, if you're working on your turkey right now, happy Thanksgiving, of course. I'm Heather Childers. And we are talking turkey this morning for you. From cooking to carving, we've got you all covered.
Oh, yeah, we do. A Butterball Turkey Talk Line expert is live to help with your turkey troubles. Send us all your questions, email, Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram.
And we are cracking the carving code with an expert carver who is live here in the studio.
But first, it is an annual tradition watched by millions. And this year, extra security is watching as well for the Macy's Thanksgiving Parade, as 3 million people line the streets of New York to get a glimpse of the floats and performers.
The NYPD out in full force with 3,000 officers. There are bomb-sniffing dogs, 82 garbage trucks filled with sand and salt to barricade the streets.
Rick Reichmuth is live right where the parade kicks off. Hey, Rick.
Good morning,
Good
Rick.
morning and happy Thanksgiving to you all. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well. Yeah, security is certainly a little bit extra tight this year, and we can feel the effects of that. But the NYPD says it is secure as it always is. They're used to covering events like this, and that this will be the safest place to be anywhere around this morning. Also, the weather is looking really good at this point. Wind is always the biggest problem. You hate to see the wind be very strong because then they can't let the balloons fly very high after a couple of incidences that they've had in the past that have caused some of the balloons to hit some of the power lines. That will not be the case this year. The wind is going to be very, very good. They tested those balloons last week at Citi Field, and last night right here at Central Park West and around the Museum of Natural History, hundreds of thousands of people come out to watch the annual blowing up of the balloons. I will tell you, that has become almost as big of an event as the parade itself for people to come out as they watch to see these balloons being blown up for the first time. Now, they're covered in the netting, and then slowly this morning they will let them loose and begin to run down here, down Central Park West, eventually down 6th Avenue towards the Macy's, where it all ends. One thing that is different with security this year is they are closing down any crosstown traffic. In the past, some of the major thoroughfares they have opened up to at least let cars go through mid-parade. That is not happening anymore. So anybody who is going to be trying to get from one side of Manhattan to the other side is going to have a big problem. Might already be used to that after 5th Avenue has been closed down because of the Trump Tower over the last couple of weeks. But things at this point are just getting started, and a beautiful morning here for the parade. Guys, send it back to you.
Definitely exciting. So what is your favorite balloon, Rick? I know that you're always out there. Which one is your favorite?
Okay, I don't know that I have a favorite, but there are new ones. And a really exciting thing this year they have is Felix the Cat. And now this is the 90th year of the parade, and Felix the Cat was the first balloon, was in the parade in that first year. And so they have redone it and built it in the way that they built him back 90 years ago. And instead of being on ropes, it is going to be on poles, tethered. So it's going to be interesting to see a balloon the way that it initially was 90 years ago.
You know what I found interesting, and I didn't know this? They used to let the balloons go up in the air at the end of the parade?
Yeah.
Until one time, it landed in a plane. And
it wasn't the big balloons, but they let a bunch of balloons go. And then if somebody who found one of those balloons later, they got a $50 gift certificate to Macy's. But that closed after 3 years. This was back in, I think, 1929 to 31. And they stopped it because one of them hit a plane.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rick. I've never seen the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. I'm thrilled to see it in person.
Oh, it's a sight. It's
something
amazing.
to behold. Thank you, Rick. We'll check back with you. Well, united we stand. President-elect Donald Trump urging Americans to come together on this Thanksgiving.
It's my prayer that on this Thanksgiving, we begin to heal our divisions.
And Garrett Tenney, I think, is standing by, right, Kristen?
Hey, Garrett. Good morning.
Heather and Kristen, good morning to you. President-elect Trump did not beat around the bush in his Thanksgiving message at all, that focused on unity and healing. He acknowledged that for a lot of folks, emotions are still raw after the tough and at times brutal campaign, and he admits that those wounds don't just heal overnight, but in time, he says he hopes the nation will come together again.
This historic political campaign is now over, but now begins a great national campaign to rebuild our country and to restore the full promise of America for all of our people. I'm asking you to join me in this effort. It's time to restore the bonds of trust between citizens. Because when America is unified, there is nothing beyond our reach. And I mean absolutely nothing.
Mr. Trump posted that message online last night after making a couple of announcements yesterday, naming 2 women to top posts in his administration. South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley is U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, and Betsy DeVos is Secretary of Education. DeVos is a former chairwoman of the Michigan Republican Party and is seen as a national leader in the school choice movement. On Twitter, she said, "I am honored to work with the president-elect on his vision to make American education great again. The status quo in ed is not acceptable. Together, we can work to make transformation. I'll change to ensure every student has the opportunity to fulfill his or her highest potential." Now, 2 other cabinet picks that could be coming in the next couple of days. Dr. Ben Carson, who was at one point mentioned as a potential pick for Education Secretary, among others, now appears poised to be nominated as the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. And billionaire investor Wilbur Ross is rumored to be named as Secretary of Commerce. Neither of those announcements are expected today, though. Instead, Mr. Trump is celebrating the holiday down in Florida with his family at his Mar-a-Lago resort. And, of course, we wish him and all of you a very happy Thanksgiving. Heather and Kristen.
Happy Thanksgiving, Garrett. Good to see you.
Thank you,
Good
Garrett.
to see y'all.
Well, switching headlines now. A 6th child has died following a deadly school bus crash in Tennessee. Investigators now saying that the driver went off of his normal route before the bus swerved off the road, wrapping around a tree in Chattanooga. Well, some new toxicology tests show that 24-year-old driver Jonathan Walker did not have drugs or alcohol in his system. Police say that he was going well over the posted 30-mile-per-hour speed limit, but it's not clear why he was on a different route. As of now, Walker is charged with 5 counts of vehicular homicide.
And a Wayne State University canine officer who was shot in the head has died. 29-year-old Colin Rose was shot just a few blocks from the Detroit campus, marking the 5th attack on law enforcement in less than a week. Suspected gunman, 31-year-old D'Angelo Davis, now in custody. Police are offering a $5,000 reward for the murder weapon.
Terror groups warn of new attacks on U.S. soil. The mastermind behind 9/11 reveals al-Qaeda's real strategy to destroy our country. In a new book about interrogating terrorists, jailed Khalid Sheikh Mohammed says that al-Qaeda wanted to use America's lax immigration laws to infiltrate our legal and welfare systems. Al-Qaeda wanted Muslims to, quote, wrap themselves in America's rights and laws for protection and, quote, rise up and violently impose Sharia from within.
A holiday nightmare for more than 130,000 current and former American sailors. The Navy announcing a massive security breach. Names and social security numbers stolen from a contractor's laptop by unknown individuals. The breach was discovered nearly a month ago. Affected sailors will be notified in the coming weeks.
And the Fox family has one more thing to be thankful for on this holiday, a new addition. Fox and Friends first writer Will Case and his wife Sarah, right there, welcoming their first child, Brett Cameron Case.
This beautiful baby boy arrived at 6:30 in the morning yesterday, weighing in at 8 pounds, 9 ounces, and 21 inches. Congratulations and best wishes to the happy family. What a nice Thanksgiving treat.
Yeah, that's something to be thankful for
Absolutely.
sure. Congratulations. Well, the time now is 8 minutes after the top of the hour. And do you remember when Hillary Clinton said this?
You could put half of Trump supporters into what I call the basket of deplorables.
Well, the turkey on your table, not the only thing to be thankful for this Thanksgiving. The long election is finally over, but not without some political turkeys. We're talking the top 5 next.
And you've been telling us what you are thankful for. Juanita writes, I am so thankful for this amazing family I have.
And Sharon.
Good.
And Sharon.
With the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit in Okinawa, Japan. I want to wish all my friends and family back home in Baltimore, Maryland, a very happy Thanksgiving from all the Marines and sailors with the 31st MEU. I'd like to wish the Baltimore Ravens the best of luck against the Cincinnati Bengals.
Malia and Sasha, by the way, are thankful that this is my final presidential turkey pardon. What I haven't told them yet is that we are going to do this every year from now on. No way I'm cutting this habit cold turkey.
He was on a roll yesterday with the corny jokes. President Obama continuing the long-cherished tradition of pardoning turkeys before Thanksgiving. The two lucky birds named Tater and Tot spared from the dinner table at a Rose Garden ceremony.
Definitely like Tater and Tot. Only this time, first daughters Sasha and Malia, they were no-shows. The White House blaming a scheduling conflict. Instead, the president's two nephews joined him.
Well, that's nice. Spreading the love. So, as families across the country get ready to gather around a well-dressed bird, there's no better time to take a look back at the year's biggest political turkeys.
And here to break it all down for us, the turkeys of 2016 is political strategist Morgan Ortegas. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, and happy Thanksgiving to you.
Happy Thanksgiving.
So we're starting with someone who was pretty vocal at times during the primary, Senator Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah, so she's one of my top 5 turkeys because she likes to claim that she is the white knight of Washington, D.C. as it relates to Wall Street. She eviscerates bank CEOs when they come to her committee. She says she's against Wall Street being involved with politics, but she endorsed Hillary Clinton. And one study showed that for every dollar Trump received in donations from Wall Street and financial services, Hillary Clinton received at least $539. A lot of hypocrisy there.
Now, you have President Obama clocking in at number 4. He obviously didn't get the election result that he wanted, but there is something specific that he said that made you want him to be number 4 on this list. Listen to this.
Governor Romney, I'm glad that you recognize that al-Qaeda is a threat, because a few months ago, when you were asked what's the biggest geopolitical threat facing America, you said Russia. Not al-Qaeda, you said Russia. In the 1980s are now calling to ask for their foreign policy back because the Cold War has been over for 20 years.
So, Morgan, why is he your political turkey?
Well, I think it's obvious from that clip. I think he's regretting what he said in 2012 mightily. As we know, the Obama administration and the Hillary Clinton campaign accused Russia of being involved in leaks that they believe ultimately led to Hillary Clinton's demise. And maybe if he had listened to Mitt Romney 4 years ago, he would have realized that Russia was actually a threat and our enemy.
And Senator Marco Rubio, short circuits, you could say, at the debate. Listen to this.
Let's dispel once and for all with this fiction that Barack Obama doesn't know what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's doing. But I would add this. Let's dispel with this fiction that Barack Obama doesn't know what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's doing. So here's the bottom line. This notion that Barack Obama doesn't know what he's doing is just not true.
There it is.
He knows exactly what he's doing.
The memorized 25-second speech.
Well, that's the reason why this campaign is so important.
Wow, there's a lot of material that you can pick from for everyone, but Marco Rubio specifically.
That was pretty bad, and I like Marco Rubio. I feel bad for him, but that had to be one of the most painful debate performances that we saw of the entire election cycle. He could just not get out of that rut, and Chris Christie looked like a dog with a bone.
I was waiting for it. Yeah.
That was tough to watch. Number 2, Hillary Clinton obviously has to be on this list, but there was something she said in particular that really stood out.
You could put half of Trump supporters into what I call the basket of deplorables. They're racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, Islamophobic, you name it. Now, some of those folks, they are irredeemable, but thankfully they are not America.
Yeah, the turkey of the year.
Yeah, so for Hillary Clinton, I think that was this cycle's 49% quote, so to speak. I think that's probably, of everything that happened this cycle, that's probably going to be what she regrets the most.
All right, so number 1, though, is actually not a politician. It is the mainstream media.
No.
The media, the corporate elite, the Washington elite, everybody got it wrong this year, and they should have seen it coming, but they were so out of touch with the average American people that everyone had their head in the sand and thought it was incredulous that Donald Trump could win. So the biggest turkey is all of the elite that looked down on him. They were all wrong.
Yeah, media doing a lot of soul searching.
Well, and what's crazy is they all seem to be still doing the same thing, a lot of them, and then also a lot of folks repeating what you heard there from Hillary Clinton. So, she didn't lead by example.
It should be a fun Thanksgiving dinner for most people tonight.
Oh, it'll be feisty for sure at dinner tables across the country. Thank you so much, Morgan.
Thank you.
Well, the time is now 17 minutes after the hour. Fiery explosion, and that's not a pocket full of fireworks, but an e-cigarette bursting into flames in a man's pants. The urgent warning now being issued. Ouch.
And cracking the carving code. We have an expert carver live for us here in the studio with everything that you need to know to carve the best bird.
Sharpening his knives. And what are you thankful for? Well, Ron and Cindy from Palm Harbor, Florida, writing to us. We are very thankful for our granddaughter, Skylar. She was a preemie, and doctors said she was a miracle baby. We are very blessed.
And then Penny tweets, I'm thankful for my children and my grandchildren. Greatest love. Aw, happy Thanksgiving. Turkey, of course, the star of everyone's Thanksgiving. But if you're still maybe a little bit clueless about how to carve it, yeah, the perfect one, don't worry.
Here with 4 simple tips and tricks, master butcher and author of the Everyday Meat Guide, Ray Venezia. Ray, thanks so much for being with us. Happy Thanksgiving. And I just got to say, I'm completely clueless when it comes to this. I've actually never carved a turkey before. So, yeah, so I'm a clean slate.
Well, I don't know what I'm saying. I haven't either, except for here once a year.
Well, the funny thing is, I never did it professionally as a butcher, but I did it at home. They always waited for me to get there after the day's work and come home, and the turkey be sitting there waiting for me.
So where do we start?
It starts with the all-important 15-minute at least rest. You want the meat to absorb back the flavor. You want it to cool down a little bit so that you can use your hand, not a fork, where you're piercing and more of the flavor is running out of the turkey.
So don't jump the gun. You got to wait.
Use your hand. Don't pierce it with a fork.
Yeah, you know you waited long enough when you can touch it with your hand. It's still warm, but you can use your hand instead of having to pierce it with a fork.
Okay.
Then you're going to start with the leg. So you can open up the back and the breast underneath will dry. And you do that, you're always using just the very tip of the knife. And at a little angle, you're running against the body, and at the same time, you're pushing lightly with your hand.
You need to look, because we're going to carve off later.
I'm really studying.
Separate. Now, you can't cut through bone, so what you're looking for is where the bone connects, the joint.
Okay.
And that's where you're going to cut through.
All right.
And you're going to take the leg off. Okay? When the leg comes off, you have the drum and the thigh. It's like a V shape. Right in that bend is where that is going to be. And you're going to cut that. Okay? And put your drum out there. Then in here is just a straight bone that runs like this. So you're just going to open it up. Butchers always open things up so we can see.
See, now that's getting complicated.
Yeah,
now
I had you at the beginning.
You're just going to grab this, and you're just going to run the tip of the knife.
Yeah,
and
just like that.
Spin the bone as you do it. That's all. And it'll all just come right off. Okay. Once you get that bone out, then you can slice your dark meat up, and it goes right on your platter.
All right.
Then you're going to take a piece of the wing off.
Oh, the wing. Okay.
So this way it's out of your way.
Okay.
Okay, you leave the one little piece on so it has stability. Now you're going to take the breast off in one piece. Okay.
Oh man, I have a feeling this is
the bone in the middle. You're just going to go on the side of the bone, and with the tip, you're just going to run it along that bone, just the tip. That's all. So you can get your hand in here, and now open a little bit. This bone is curved. So with the tip of the knife, as you're pulling away a little bit, you're just going to follow it with
so
the
you have
tip
to have a
of the
really
knife.
sharp knife. Also,
yeah, the tip.
Sharp knife helps.
Yeah, you got to really get in there. You're really pulling it open.
Well, I'm kind of pulling a little bit. You don't want to rip the meat, but again, just the tip is freeing it from the bone, so it comes off in one nice, solid piece, which allows you then to slice it correctly. You want to peel your skin back because a crisp skin will dull your knife.
What about a power knife?
Yeah, speaking of knives,
work better?
Is that better? The power knife?
I don't think so.
No,
because
just a good old-fashioned knife.
It's not a way to
you're looking, you can't really get into the small area like that.
Okay.
Now, the most important thing with the breast is you see these lines.
So you
That's the way it's right. You want to go against that.
Okay.
So you're going to have the big end showing. You're going to hold it a little bit, and all you're going to do is slice right against that. And when you slice your breast meat against it,
okay.
We have mashing teeth.
Oh, that looks
great. By doing that, you see it'll pull. That's why it'll feel tender.
Okay.
So the reason we're studying this so closely is because we're going to have a carve off at the end of the show. Heather's been talking a lot of smack.
It's going to be fun.
It's on.
All right. Thanks, Ray. Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to make sure, importantly, 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch is what you want to slice, not paper thin. It'll dry before you even get to the table.
And thank you to your lovely wife for cooking these for us.
Yeah, a lot of work involved in cooking these turkeys.
Smells so good.
Thank you, Ray.
We'll see you back here in just a little bit. But the time right now is 5:26, almost the bottom of the hour, and unprecedented security, bomb-sniffing dogs, snipers, and thousands of police officers lining the streets.
We are live as millions of people flock to New York City for the famous Macy's parade.
You should be back.
That's right, tomorrow is the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, and if there's one thing that can cheer Hillary up right now, it's balloons.
That's a good one. Yes, going back to the convention.
And Bill Clinton during the convention with the balloons
He was so
hysterical.
excited. Good morning to you. Happy Thanksgiving. I'm Heather Childers.
And I'm
nice
Chris.
to have you here.
Thanks for having me. Still thrilled to be here. I'm Kristen Fisher. Thanks for starting your day with us. And it is an annual tradition watched by millions. And this year, extra security is watching as well for the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade.
There's one of my favorites, Spidey. Well, as 3 million people are expected to line the streets of New York to get a glimpse of all the floats, all the performers. But on top of that, the NYPD, thankfully, will be out in full force with 3,000 officers. There will also be some bomb-sniffing dogs and 82 garbage trucks.
Wow.
And they'll be filled with sand and salt, Kristen, to barricade the streets. Keep us safe.
That is a ton of trucks. Rick Reichmuth is live right where the parade kicks off. Hey, Rick, happy Thanksgiving.
Good morning.
Happy Thanksgiving and good morning. Yeah, they say this is one of the safest places you could probably be anywhere because of all the security, and that it's just another day in New York City where they're used to covering security like this. We're up here at 77 in Columbus. It's kind of the beginning of the parade route right at the Museum of Natural History. It's kind of fun to be at this spot because you get to see all the balloons in one spot together, all of the floats, and very shortly all of the clowns and the bands and everybody will be right here at this very spot. Beginning to see all of the excitement for the parade. But this is the big day. Security, obviously, one of the big concerns, but they're feeling very good that they have things under control, including not allowing any crosstown traffic. In the past, some of the major thoroughfares, like 42nd Street, have been open to crosstown traffic. That has been closed down this year. So Manhattan, which is a little bit tough on traffic at any point, is going to be even a little bit more tough today. Although everybody's just going to be along the parade route. 3.5 million people here enjoying this. Weather for it looking really good. Sometimes you have very cold and windy times, and when that happens, they have to keep the balloons really, really low because they can't have them waving high in the air. This today, because winds are going to be, I think, under 10 miles an hour, we are going to be looking just fine. Weather-wise, by the way, for the rest of the country, show you a weather map. We're looking good today. Most of the country is going to be seeing a spectacular sunny day. A little bit of rain, a little bit of snow across the northeast, but it's going to be pretty light. And then out across the west, we are going to watch a couple of systems pulling in. So coastal areas of Northern California, Oregon, and Washington dealing with some rain and some mountain snow, which they need. Aside from that, everybody is looking good. That same pattern holds true for tomorrow. If anybody's looking ahead, I think, guys, a lot of people do some shopping tomorrow.
Oh.
I can't imagine it, but they do it. It's going to be looking pretty good.
Not me. I will be resting after eating a lot of turkey.
Oh, yeah, I'll be working, but I will be resting.
Thank you so much, Rick. Have fun.
Thanks, Rick. Well, united we stand, President-elect Donald Trump urging Americans to come together this Thanksgiving.
It's my prayer that on this Thanksgiving, we begin to heal our divisions.
Garrett Tenney is live in Washington, D.C. with that and some new cabinet picks. Another day, some more announcements. Good morning, Garrett.
Good morning, Heather and Kristen, and that's likely what we'll continue to see over the next couple of weeks. Now, you'll remember throughout the campaign, though, we heard Mr. Trump say time and again how he wanted to make America the greatest it's ever been. Well, in his Thanksgiving message to the country, he repeated that idea, but said before that can happen, we need to heal and come together.
We've just finished a long and bruising political campaign. Emotions are raw and tensions just don't heal overnight. It doesn't go quickly, unfortunately. But we have before us the chance now to make history together, to bring real change to Washington, real safety to our cities, and real prosperity to our communities, including our inner cities.
Earlier in the day, Mr. Trump added some diversity to his administration with the nomination of 2 women to top posts. South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley as U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations and Betsy DeVos as Secretary of Education. Many Republicans were quick to praise DeVos's nomination. She is a former chairwoman of the Michigan Republican Party and a national leader in the school choice movement. On Twitter, DeVos said, quote, "I am honored to work with the president-elect on his vision to make American education great again. The status quo in education is not acceptable. Together, we can work to make transformational change to ensure every student has the opportunity to fulfill his or her highest potential." We're also now hearing Mr. Trump has finalized his picks for 2 other cabinet posts as well, which could be announced in the next couple of days. Dr. Ben Carson is the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, and billionaire investor Wilbur Ross is rumored to be named as Secretary of Commerce. No announcements expected today, though, as the Trump family celebrates Thanksgiving at the Mar-a-Lago Resort down in Florida. Happy Thanksgiving to them, as well as all of you. Heather and Kristen?
Thanks so much, Garrett. Yes, happy Thanksgiving.